All right, we got the 70, no, I'm sorry, not 74, 64 Malibu up on the 2-post. Doing a quick one through, nut and bolt check, along with seeing what we got to do to get this turbo 350 out. Getting it out shouldn't be a big deal. Exhaust is out of the way. We'll have to undo some shifter linkage, tranny lines, and then get the dry shaft out, and then possibly do some dry shaft modification in the lathe, and also maybe need to rework the exhaust. So we'll get this out and we'll get you brought back up. All right, we got the exhaust headers off, dry shaft out, cross member off, dipstick and tube, kick down cable, vacuum actuator off, and the torque converter loose. Turbo 350 is ready to come out. Get the cherry picker over here picked off. Turbo 350 down. We'll get the 700 R4 up here. Load the new converter with fluid. Get it in. We'll get it jammed back in. The best upgrade I could say for this Harbor Freight cherry picker is replacing it with the pneumatic cylinder lift. Makes easy work. Don't have to bounce it up and down a bunch of times trying to get it to go up. Lifts heavy items and then it doesn't start bouncing once you start jacking it up. Alright, got the transmission in. We're gonna drop out the OEM tank that was replacement. We're gonna get a tank's EFI tank because eventually this car is gonna get fuel injection. So the tank's tank, I'll get a part number when it comes in. It drops at another inch. That changes this tank from I think 18.5 gallons to 24 gallons. So what we got going on is, well, fortunately, the dry shaft, the end shaft that fit the Turbo 350 fits the 700 R4, so we'll get it chucked up in the lathe and get it turned down and re-welded. But got the 700 R4 in, got the new torque converter, got 2.5 quarts in it, got it primed before we loaded it, and then I changed out the O-ring that was on the end of the input shaft. When you do those, you got to make sure the O-ring is good and that it's not missing, or else you'll never get lockup. Got a new kick down cable coming from Low Car, and then we will hook up the shifter back in, and then we will get the exhaust redone with the headers. Since the transmission's taller, the cross member is a little bit lower, so the angle of the exhaust collectors, so we might have to do a couple cuts here and get it reshaped and get it back up. But we'll get back to getting it up and rolling. All right, so before we get the dry shaft chucked up in the lathe and shorten it out for our 700 R4 swap, something happened. All the boxes showed up from Ride Tech via Vintage Parts of Arizona. We got the complete front and rear air ride kit for the 64 Malibu, complete with upper lower control arms, the factory radius arms, 4-link tie rod ends, air ride struts, front and rear, all the instructions, front and rear sway bar. So we're gonna go ahead and get it installed on this car before we remodify the exhaust and the drive shaft. So I took measurements from the ground to the fender. We're sitting at 20 inches. And then on the front fender, we are sitting 27 3/4 from the fender lip down to the bottom. So we'll get it all installed and get it off the lift to see what the air ride lowest setting will be. Maybe we'll be tucking these even more. Hopefully we get another 4, maybe 5 inches out, and then we'll refit it for some bigger wheels. But so this is the end of the 700R4 video swap out. Next series of videos will be installing the air ride kit.